Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. The next film we're talking about, Hearts Beat Loud, is a wonderful movie about music that strikes all the right chords, it hits all the perfect notes, and never misses a beat. See what I did there? No, I love this movie, and I love the songs, and I love the cast. Before we bring Nick Offerman and director Brett Haley out, let's take a look at the trailer.
How's it going, kiddo? It's jam sesh time.
No.
Come on. When jam sesh time arrives, we have to put aside childish things like homework and med school.
Please don't touch my thing.
It's jam sesh time. I have to close the shop.
I'm sorry, Frank. I held off on raising the rent as long as I could.
I mean, it's time. My girl starts UCLA in the fall. You can't make your heart feel like what?
Just a bunch of words.
I want it that way. They want what? What way?
I'm sorry, are you bringing up the Backstreet Boys?
It's actually a pretty good song.
We don't always get to do what we love, so we need to love what we do.
I never realized that was your secret.
Yep.
You've been trying to start a band with me since I was like 12. We're not a band.
We're not a band. I like it.
I don't want to be in a band. And even if I did, I'm not going to be in one with my dad. Usual for you?
What is this?
New indie mix on Spotify.
This is my band. You guys, this is my band. This is my band!
Okay, so what do we do now?
I mean, we could write another song.
This is so good. You wrote this. Yeah, with my dad.
Sam talks to me now like she's the adult.
It's just their way of making it easier for you when they leave.
We were right at the wrong.
Maybe you could take a year off and we'll see what happens.
Are you suggesting that I don't go to college so that I can stay and be in a band with you?
You have the same thing that your mother had. And if she were here right now...
No, you don't get to do that.
Soon I won't be by your side. Give me
I've been here my whole life. I want something different. It's time to get away.
more night.
Let's just do our thing.
What thing? We've never done this before.
First knew this place
Just do what we always do. Just in front of some people.
in time.
Hey, that's what bands do, right?
Let it go. Let it slip from the tip of my hands. Can I let it all go?
Everybody, please welcome Nick Offerman and writer-director Brett Haley.
Hello.
Guys, thanks so much for being here. Congratulations on the film, on the songs. As I said before, I loved it. Thanks for coming in on a day like today, sticking around and coming in this morning on a day of, you know, a bit of mourning right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a tough day. And I think we're all collectively feeling that energy. I mean, I woke up this morning excited about my movie coming out in theaters and then seeing the news about Anthony Bourdain and being incredibly heartbroken, frankly. And I think it's, you know, we talked backstage that we felt was really important to just acknowledge him and the impact that I think he's had on not only the country, but the world. He was a man of the world, and he showed us things that I don't think we would have seen otherwise, and other types of people and cultures, and he was such an open and giving person, and I didn't know him personally, but it certainly felt like I did. So it's a big loss, and it's certainly a bittersweet and sad morning.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, he's such an important ambassador. You know, for so much of our country, he brought all the remote parts of the world up close, helping us break down the walls of discrimination and, you know, showing us that, oh, everyone eats crazy stuff all over the planet and we're all the same. We like delicious foods and we don't like yucky foods.
I think one of the things that he did so wonderfully as well was he was an incredible gateway for people, whether it was a gateway to better eating, a gateway to better movies, a gateway to better music. He introduced a lot of people to a lot of culture and a lot of cultural history that maybe they wouldn't have seen otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. And just this idea, and Nick was sort of touching on it, that there's more that brings us together as people than separates us. And it feels like that was really what his life's work began to come to be. And I think that that's such an important message, and I think it's a message that I try to carry with my films. It's really just about connecting and seeing that we're all more alike than we are different. And these are very divisive times, very angry and negative times. There's a lot of vitriol just in the world, on your Twitter feed, just in general. And we tried very hard, I think, with this film to put goodness into the world, and I think he did that every day. So he will be missed, and it's a sad day, and I just wanted to take some time to acknowledge it this morning.
Absolutely. And I think in terms of not being divisive or things that bring people together, music is one of those things. And I'm wondering if you started with that for this movie, if you started with the songs, and what were you thinking about when you came to those?
You know, I love movies like That Thing You Do and High Fidelity, Inside Llewyn Davis. There's a great Japanese film called Linda, Linda, Linda. And I wanted to create a world within that.
The Music Man. You always leave out the music.
I always leave out the Music Man. Nick reminds me. And the Music Man. About the power of music, the power of the creative process of coming together. So I knew I wanted to make a film within that sort of space of a band movie, if you will. You know, John Carney's movies like Once and Sing Street. I love those movies. And I think we wanted to take a different approach with what the creative process and what the music did for these characters. And it's really a father and daughter tale, and about how that music brings them together. So it was the kernel of the idea. And the songs in the script were simultaneous. We were going back and forth with Keegan DeWitt, who wrote all the great songs. And the soundtrack is out today. Our movie comes out today.
Fantastic.
And our soundtrack comes out today.
The soundtrack is absolutely fantastic. Nick, this is the first time I feel like I've seen you play a lead role in some time.
Oh, that's weird.
Did I miss something?
No. There's a good reason for that feeling.
Why is that?
Because it's the first time I've played a lead role.
Is it really? Like entirely in your career?
Pretty much. My very first movie, which was at Sundance, I think, 98. I had just gotten to L.A., and I did this wonderfully experimental, ambitious, like funny, strange movie called Treasure Island. Nothing to do with the pirate story or Robert Louis Stevenson. It's set on Treasure Island in San Francisco Bay, set in the 40s during the war. And I'm really proud of it. And I was one of the two leads in that. But that movie never quite got out to the world. So officially, I think this is my first leading role.
What is it like to take on a leading role?
It's very daunting. You have to do more work, turns out. But you know, it all depends on everything we do in this business depends on if the writing is good or not. And Brett and his partner Mark Bash are great writers, and so it was all I ever wanted. I mean, all you want to do is good work that allows you to utilize the discipline that you've been living in. Like, I've been practicing hammering nails my whole life. If somebody would just let me build a house, it would be a kick-ass house. And so these guys came along and let me do this, and I mean, the cast of this movie, and they write a lot of two-person scenes, so every day your day would be like, okay, you're talking to Ted Danson all day. Okay, Kiersey Clemons is singing at you today. And so it was really hard work, so gratifying, and it was like a gift.
I read someone describe your style of performing as leaning back and letting the audience come to you, rather than sort of leaning in and forcing the audience to look at you. I'm wondering if that's something that you're conscious of and something that you thought about going into playing a lead role versus a supporting role.
Not really. I mean, I would never accuse myself of being a deep thinker in terms of my craft. But I definitely, I think playing character roles, there's a more overt sense of energy when you understand that you're the salsa in the meal. But when you're the porterhouse steak, you don't want to cook yourself too much. You want to just lay there and be pink and juicy.
Full of analogies.
I was just waiting for how you were going to land that. I was just waiting. And you landed it very well.
Yeah, they'll be teaching that at Juilliard next year.
Lay there and be pink and juicy.
Brett, Nick had a supporting role in your last film, The Hero. He played a drug dealer.
Yeah, he played a drug dealer.
Not a sort of drug dealer. He played a drug dealer. A nice one.
A nice one, yeah. A good friend.
As most, I think, kind of are a lot of times.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're selling, but it's a happy life.
What made you reach out to Nick for? Did you write this with him in mind?
We did. Mark and I wrote this with Nick in mind, hoping that he would like it and do it. And it was a great source of inspiration because we got to know Nick working with him on The Hero, and you just sort of fall in love. It happened on I'll See You in My Dreams with Sam Elliott, and we made The Hero, and I fell in love with Sam, and I fell in love with Nick, and just said, look, I see something in you, and what I personally as a fan of you would like to see is you do something like this, where you're vulnerable and goofy and a dad, and you're playing music, and to me it was like, it's sort of like fan wish fulfillment. And when you have the privilege to go and make movies, you're like, I'm gonna make the thing that I would like to go see. So really, it was like I wanted to see Nick in this role, so we wrote it.
It feels to me like there's a fair amount of wish fulfillment in the characters as well. Like Kiersey Clemons as a daughter in this movie, like I couldn't imagine wanting any other kind of daughter than her in this movie. She's like, could either go to med school or be an incredible musician and is really cool.
She's all right. It's funny. The movie really plays out like we flip it. Someone described the film as a coming of age story, and I said, yeah, for the dad.
Absolutely.
It's like she's got her stuff together. She knows what she wants out of life. She is a go-getter. She is smart. She is talented. She knows who she is in her personal life.
She's even a bit more emotionally mature than him at times.
Oh, yeah.
There's a moment where he kind of lashes out at her or projects at her a little bit, and she kind of goes, okay, and gets up and walks away. And I was thinking to myself when I was 17, I was like, oh, I would have screamed at my dad or my mom if they started that with me. It's
more fun to have her be the adult in the situation. And to me, it's also more realistic just for the characters that we created. And, Nick's character, Frank, is a widower. He's been raising his daughter alone for about the last 8 or 10 years. And, she's leaving. She's leaving at the end of the summer, and this unexpected thing happens where they create this song from their, kind of jam sessions that have started to dwindle away, they don't do them as much as they used to. They have this moment, and then suddenly, I said windle, and I meant to say whittle, apologies. And then...
Windle thing?
It is now.
It is?
Yeah.
It means to taper off.
Yes.
Yeah, to blow away,
yeah.
To windle, yeah.
So I was right.
No, you just created a word, and I'm
backing
you up.
He made you right.
Thank you.
Someone has already put it into the Urban Dictionary.
Thank you, Urban Dictionary.
I like that you straightened up for the Urban Dictionary.
I was like, well, okay, fine then. I'll take it.
It's a big day.
Yeah, it is a big day. So anyway, I think this idea of he's scared. He's losing this person. He's going to have a true empty nest. And so he starts, as most children do, acting out.
Trying to come up with a way to
keep it together. Yeah.
And what I also loved about that, and I think it's in your performance, is that he doesn't necessarily know, like real people, he doesn't know that he's acting out. He doesn't know that he's doing this thing to potentially keep her from leaving him because he doesn't want to be alone. And he thinks that he's, just doing the right thing and doing the things that she needs, and rather than sort of trapping somebody.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, any relationship, there are moments that remind me of my marriage where if the world is going in a certain way, like our song got on Spotify, I've noticed in myself, my human nature is to not subconsciously not bring it up in the hopes that everyone will be cool with where it's going. And then, when it finally has to come to a head, my daughter / Megan, my wife, will be like, well, no, you idiot. Like, you should know better than that. Of course, it's not going to go this way because we're responsible adults. We can't do this foolish thing. And I say, that's right. That's what I was avoiding thinking about.
What was it like having to perform, Keegan's music on screen? Is that generally how you play it, or did you have to learn new ways to play?
No, I pretty much play like Keegan. No, Keegan DeWitt, who has a band called Wolf Cub, and
Wild Cub.
Sorry, I always get that wrong. Wild Cub, and he has a band partner named Jeremy Bullock, who was my specific coach on the electric guitar. So I play acoustic guitar. This is the first time I've played electric. So I needed coaching. I had to work really hard to play this rudimentary, these licks. But I liken it very much to a superhero origin story because Kiersey and I both can play music and we love music, but neither of us are Keegan. And so in the movie, they show us creating these songs as though we have his talent. We're like, oh, let's just mess around and come up with a song. And we come up with this incredibly catchy, lovely song.
With multiple beautiful songs.
Yeah. And so to be given that skill, we're like, yeah, let me try this out on the, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Makes me feel like a superhero because they take this clumsy donkey and they're like, oh, here, we'll shoot you, and then we'll make you look as cool as Keegan.
Have you and Kiersey performed the songs at all together?
Just
outside of the movie?
At Sundance, we did, yeah.
You can watch it online if you YouTube it. It's amazing. They performed it live with Keegan and Jeremy at the awards ceremony at Sundance. We were the closing night film at Sundance, so we were all there and they performed. And it was, I was like, I don't have kids, but I was like, I felt like what it feels like to be a stage mom. I was like, oh, here they go. Oh, they're about to sing it. How's it gonna go? Like I was watching them about to do like anything goes, and I was like, here they come.
You always, shooting or at Sundance, he always mouths all the words along.
Oh yeah. I'm like always going, you know, I get really excited. It was so fun to shoot those sequences. They were very hard, but it was like it was hard to contain my excitement. It was like it was like shooting like an explosion or something, where I was like, oh, we're about to do the thing, and when we could pull it off, it was very exciting. So to see them do it live, like in front of thousands of people at Sundance, I was like, it was amazing. It was a really fun experience. So
how did you strike the balance in the film of having these songs be so good, but yet never feeling false in the sense that they would never be able to create these or come up with these? That's a really hard thing for movies like this to do.
Yeah, and it's a two-person band, and you're kind of looking at their setup. It's keys and a sampler and a guitar, you know, and so Keegan and I worked very closely on like to make sure these are great pop songs, but they're also songs that you can do. But you know, there are amazing albums out there just all created in a bedroom. Oh yeah. You know, you can there's a whole like
the First Lord album is
absolutely.
Like, yeah.
And you look at Grimes, and there's so many amazing people that create these albums just on their own. So you can do so much with recording, but with the big performance scene at the end of this film, it was like, we want to make sure everything that's coming out of those speakers would be coming out. So, but the electronic side of it and getting to see her create the samples and have them on standby, that gives you this richness. And it's also the way that it's done. You know, a lot of people like a Grimes can do orchestral sounds just with hitting a couple of buttons, but she's put so much work into those things. So, you know, at first and foremost, what was important to us was that everything in this movie be real and believable. Like, we never wanted it to take a turn and you'd be like, oh, come on, that's not how this would go down.
In Glee. Okay.
Yeah, like, oh, here we go. Like, yeah, all the vocals in the movie are live. Like, we were very conscious of, like, making sure that when you saw this movie, you went, this is happening right now. This is not, like you said, like some musical moment that is somehow heightened. It's very grounded and real.
What was were there any artists, was Grimes an artist that you told Keegan DeWitt as someone that you kind of wanted to emulate for the music?
Totally, and Jamie XX and the XX.
Jamie XX, Grimes.
He doesn't know any of these people.
All those guys. And did you mention the Lord also?
Yeah. You probably know, yeah.
All that stuff.
I mean, I'll go to bat for Lord, I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't?
But
guy in the Wilco shirt.
Yeah, but the guy in the
yeah. But that's the idea, is to take dad rock and mix it with that type of music. And so I remember showing Kiersey. There's this great moment where she's playing the sampler after singing, and I showed her Jamie XX and Grimes, who do this move where they put the mic like this.
Oh yeah.
And then so that they can do their thing, and then they bring it back. And she does it in the movie. She does it like a superstar, of course. She nails it. But you know, there's a lot of music reference in the movies, from Wilco to Tom Waits to Animal Collective, and then obviously the music itself has that kind of Grimes, Jamie XX with guitar meets electronic, kind of organic meets electronic vibe.
Nick, had you met Jeff Tweedy before his cameo in the movie?
Yeah, I met Jeff. I mean, I've been a huge fan. His band Wilco and his previous band Uncle Tupelo were sort of the band they were my Bob Dylan for 20 years. And then we got Jeff to come be on Parks and Recreation in an episode I was also directing. So the first time I met him, and actually in that episode I also had Sam Elliott and Bo Burnham. So I was
That was an embarrassment of riches.
I was the luckiest director in town that day. And so I met Jeff on the sidewalk of a house we were shooting at in Studio City. And turned out a weird thing about Parks and Recreation is that you can meet a lifelong hero like Jeff, and he and his family were fans of the show. So he was a fan of mine, which is weird, which is really weird to swallow. But we embraced and said, "Now we're husbands," and we became just immediate, really close friends. He did a few episodes. I directed a music video for his band Tweedy that he has with his son called Low Key. And we just hit it off. Our wives are great friends. His sons I love. He has an amazing family. And so it was kind of a no-brainer to... there's a Tweedy video playing in the movie early on. And then Jeff...
You're watching in the store?
Yeah, in the first scene, yeah.
And then Jeff was kind enough to come do a super cool, rock star cameo.
Yeah, that was a big deal for me.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I get starstruck by everybody, but I was especially starstruck when Jeff showed up in his custom hat,
His
Stetson hat that was made especially for him. It was my birthday, and he was very sweet. He signed a Whole Love record for me, and it was. I mean, I'm a massive music fan. I get nervous, and he was such a sweetheart, and we had so much fun playing in that scene and doing a bunch of different versions of it and stuff, and it was
a hard time
great.
not humming "Always in Love" if I was near him. It would just be in my head immediately, and I'd be like, "Oh."
It's hard not to just totally nerd out. I nerd out on people pretty hard when I meet them sometimes, so I'm trying to get better about that.
I do too. I mean, I'm dear friends with him, and it was very easy to act like I was starstruck when I saw him in the store.
Yeah.
If you take two steps back, then he becomes Jeff the icon.
He's beautiful.
I forgot.
Yeah.
We're in love.
Yeah.
Is he the person that you've probably nerded out hardest at when you met for the first time?
Oh boy. He's definitely top three, but when again the treasure trove of all things good, Parks and Recreation also brought me face to face with Sam Elliott for the first time. And that was pretty crazy. To walk into our hair and makeup trailer is where I met him, sitting in the makeup chair.
That voice, right?
Yeah, and I was like, "This is insane."
I remember when you came here with him last time for the Hero. It was like as soon as he opened it, he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" You're like, "Oh, there it is."
He's magic, and
that icon thing.
I met him when I was 30, and we were meeting about "I'll See You in My Dreams," and we met at this cafe in Santa Monica, and I saw him, and I was like, "I don't know how I'm going to get through this meeting," and he was immediately like, What's going on with you, man? Why'd you write this movie, man? And I was like, but he like all these guys, they're just the sweetest and most kind and giving. Yesterday, I got a text from Sam just saying, I'm thinking of you guys, and I'm rooting for you. And he always ends his text with a heart emoji. He's the best.
Oh, you get just a heart emoji?
I get just the heart emoji.
We have I get a heart emoji and then a coyote head.
Oh, now I've got to tell Sam he's got to up his emoji game. That's your thing.
Yeah, he's all love with you, but I get a little bit of the rascal. and Sam would want me to say that he pronounces it coyote. It's an important distinction.
That is, indeed.
He's a Westerner.
There's a few people from the cast that we haven't started talking about yet, but Toni Collette, during the trailer we were talking about how much of a legend she is, and she's really got 2 movies coming out today, right? She's got this and a movie that will go unmentioned because we're promoting.
Yeah.
No, Hereditary.
Yeah, this movie and another movie.
But what was it like working with her?
Working with Toni, I mean, for me, part of getting to be the lead for the first time, there was a lot of daunting moments in that I never have gotten to play just a guy doing normal things, like trying to have a vulnerable relationship with my daughter or my landlady, who I hope will kiss me, which is Toni Collette. And so, there's a little bit of freshman at the prom, like, not sure how, I've never done this before. But looking across a record store and having Toni Collette to be my scene partner, she's a legend. She is such an amazing talent, and she was so calming, both she and Kiersey were so generous with me. So if I was insecure about anything, I would just look at my scene partner, and they just everything they did said, "You're gonna be just fine."
That reads on screen too. I have to say, they both come across as very cool throughout the movie.
They're a comfort.
I try with every film that I do. I love actors. I truly do. I'm a fan first, and I love actors, and I think actors that we love are that way because when at their best, they bring themselves to a role. And at every movie I've done, I like to let my actors go, hey, like, bring some of your just natural charm and charisma and chutzpah to this. And if you look at everyone in this film, from Sasha Lane to Ted Danson to Toni to Blythe to obviously Nick and Kiersey, there's something of them, of their natural, just the way that they are, that comes across. It's all so natural and real and grounded, and it's a joy and a pleasure. And I tried to create an environment on set in which we all were just free to play and have fun. At the end of the day, movies get to this level of like, we're making a movie and everything is so serious, and it is serious. It's really hard work, and it takes a village, but you can't forget that it's the best job in the world. It's the most fun thing to do, and we're all in it together. We're all there because we love it. And I think that's what we felt from between the crew and the cast, was we felt an immense amount of love, to be cheesy about it, but it's true. And I think that love comes across on screen. And
yeah, and there was in counterpoint, there was also a lot of cheese to be loving about it. We had a lot of cheese on set.
We did shoot in a cheese shop, and we ate our fair share of cheese that day.
We shot in Red Hook, which has a fair amount of artisanal craft beer and cheese. I mean, it's Brooklyn.
We were in Baked and Sonny's, and the whole movie takes place in Red Hook. And
that's right. The bar was Sonny's.
Sonny's, yeah.
Yeah. The first time we were in, I was like, "Is that Sonny's?" And then all of a sudden, it showed a sign that said Sonny's, and I was like,
"It was a big deal."
Yes.
Yeah. We love Sonny's, and yeah.
It's a historical bar at this point.
And Ted Danson plays the bartender at Sonny's, which is I don't know if you guys have seen a little show called Cheers, but a little reference there, perhaps.
Sasha Lane, I loved her so much in American Honey a few years ago, the Andrea Arnold film. But she was an unknown actress, and she was just sort of picked off the street and thrown into this movie. Had you seen that, and is that what made you cast her in this? How'd you know that she could kind of pull this off, too?
Well, certainly. I love American Honey, and I think Sasha's incredible, and I've been following her career. And what Sasha told me when I made her the offer for the role was, she was like, thank you for letting me do something just sweet and just fun and nice. And her and Kiersey, one of the central relationships in the film are between them, and it's this beautiful romance, this beautiful summer romance. And I think both Kiersey and Sasha, I relied on so heavily to help tell that story, because they both identify as queer. They're both women of color. That's what story that we're telling. And so Mark and I listened to them and simply said, you tell us how this should be and how it should be depicted. And we're very proud of the fact that the representation in this film is not a plot point. It isn't punished. It isn't looked down upon or frowned upon or, you're what? It's none of that. It just simply is. It just simply is allowed to exist and be as all romances and movies should be. And we're very proud of it, and I really owe it all to Kiersey and Sasha's input. They made that, because only the person who can walk in those shoes can really define what that journey is like. So we did something pretty radical. We just simply listened.
Isn't Red Hook kind of a home base for you as well, Nick? Or
I have roots there in that 10 years ago, we were living on the Upper West Side. My wife was doing Young Frankenstein on Broadway, and I found a shop in Red Hook in which I built my first canoe. So every day for about a year and a half.
As you do.
Yes, I had some time on my hands and a bag full of chisels and hand planes. And so I had this really idyllic chapter of life where I rode my bicycle every day to Red Hook and built a canoe. And they didn't know it when they wrote the script, that I'd stop at Baked every morning and get my coffee, and they do this biscuit slathered in butter and jam. That's also known as boat building fuel. And so Red Hook was very much a romantic part of my life. So when I got the script and it was all set, and we'd go to Sonny's for a beer after working in the shop, I was quite moved. And I just wanted to add in to say that it's of the many great pieces of fortune in this film, the fact that we got Kiersey and Sasha to play these roles. These are two young women that just have the most incredible spirits. Like, they exude the goddess more than many actors have ever seen. And so the fact that they came and graced us with their talents that's like, see this movie just to see these young women perform. They're delightful.
I remember the first time I saw Kiersey Clemons in Dope at Sundance, and her, as soon as she appeared on screen, you can almost feel it in the audience. Everyone's like, "Oh, that's a star. It is. Look at that! Like, no one has charisma like this, or very, very few people do."
And we needed someone who could.
With Sasha as well.
Yes, but when you look at Kiersey, who is really the co-lead of this with Nick, and really the lead of the musical side of this film. I mean, Nick is obviously very involved in the songs in this movie, but these are Kiersey's vocals.
When you hear her sing,
it's crazy. And when we heard her sing for the first time, Keegan and I, like, she was kind of in front of us, like going, "Your heart is," kind of doing it. We're going, and I looked at her and I looked over at Keegan and was like, like, better than we ever could have imagined. Then we're, doing live vocal takes on set and just going, how is this happening? Oh, she's doing 20 takes of the song and belting out all night, on a night shoot. And she has so many things going for her in this movie. And I'm really excited about people. I think people know her and love her, but this is really, I think, going to make them go, she's going places, because she is. There's no doubt about it. I just got lucky that she agreed to do the movie. She was going places regardless. So. And
it's really nice to work with. I get the same feeling when I perform with my wife. Singing in a band next to Kiersey is so relaxing for me, because you're confident no one will ever look at you, which is that's a gift.
Yeah.
We have time for a couple questions. What do we got here?
Hi, we're going to take our first question from an online viewer. Laura would like to know, Nick, since you've played characters that have musical talent, do you think life will imitate art and you'll release an album?
Thank you for that question. Maybe. I have a bunch of comedy songs that I've written and performed on tour, and I am supposed to record those at some point, so maybe I will, and it'll probably, hopefully, be funny.
And they can get Nick on We're Not a Band's debut album.
That's right.
Which is out today.
My album is coming out today, is the correct answer to that question.
It's called, what's it called?
Hearts Beat Loud.
Hearts Beat Loud, that's right. Hearts Beat Loud. Yeah, that one. I mean, you did put out
out on the plug on that one.
He did put out an album. I mean, you and Kiersey and Keegan put out an album today.
That's right.
I have to be reminded of that.
And it is. I mean, it's looks like delicious candy, because it is. When you see this film, the biggest reaction when people walk out of the film is, "Give me this music right now. How can I get the soundtrack?"
Yes.
Yeah, if you, I don't care what you think about the movie. I mean, obviously, I hope people like it. But by the time you get to the scene in the record store near the end, if you aren't moved by you and Kiersey's performance and those songs, I got nothing for you.
Yeah.
It's like such a beautiful sequence in that store.
Well, the much like a classic musical, the songs in this movie are doing narrative lifting. They are advancing the story, advancing the plot, advancing the character arcs. People are learning and growing through song in this film. So the songs are not just like, oh, here's a cool song. So things are happening within these songs, moments, and they're the biggest moments in the movie, and we planned it that way. We planned to make the songs the star sort of storytelling vehicles for this. And it was a challenge to keep it grounded and not just have people break out into random song, AKA the Music Man. But I think we were very excited about how much those songs did for us. So they are the biggest part of the movie, I think.
It's basically a sequence of songs with some talking in between.
Yeah.
One more question.
Hi. I was curious, since this is your film that is a musical, and you've done many, played many instruments and have many songs. I was wondering what were your musical influences growing up?
Nick, you want to start?
Oh, sure. I mean, they are vast and eclectic, but just to hit some highlights, the music of Tom Waits has always really fueled my life, especially my life in the theater. For romance and humor and poetry, I think you can't beat him. The Mills Brothers, from a very young age, they're an old group from the 30s and 40s. My wife also loves them. My wife's band, nancyandbeth.com, they're astonishing. Like, she continues to teach me every day with her creativity and her sense of humor and beautiful talent. They're the big three.
And also, if Nick did this incredible playlist for Spotify that he picked every single track and he has a commentary on certain ones, it's an amazing playlist. I was building. I texted you. I was building a new TV stand and a coffee table, and I listened to it all day because you call it songs to use hand tools.
Songs by which to use
hand tools.
Yes.
And what Waits song do you have on there?
He has a few.
Yeah, there's it ends with "Come On Up to the House," which is one of the most profound anthems of our day. Yeah.
You have like 3 or 4. I mean, I say Tom wins the
Jitterbug
playlist.
Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get early, you get late.
And I think to add on for my music, that things that I love is I'm really into the new indie mix on Spotify is in this movie because that's where I discover new artists and new people. And we had our premiere on Wednesday night with Rooftop Films, and I was like doing press and talking to people, and I heard the song and I was like, that's Sydney Gish. And Sydney Gish is this like 20-year-old wonderkid. She's incredible. Talk about bedroom rock pop music. And she was playing at our premiere, and I had no idea. And I ran away from.
Oh, you didn't know?
I didn't know. So I ran over and I was like fanboying out on this poor 20-year-old girl. She's like, who is this weird dude? Like, I was really into it. So I like being as much
6'3".
I know. She's like, whoa, dude. But I love discovering artists like that. Like Snail Mail has a new album coming out.
Can't wait to listen to it.
Mitski's in this movie, who I think is incredible.
Oh, that's right. I forget.
Her album comes out August 17th.
Grimes.
And
the X people. Jimmy.
The X people.
Brothers.
The X Brothers. But you know, if you when you see the movie, you'll see a lot of references. We have a Tom Waits reference, Animal Collective reference, Songs Ohio, the stuff that we have in the background. That's not just there; it's there for a reason, and we are paying homage to different things that we love.
Yeah, the record store. Where was that? Was that a set? What did you build the?
That's a real record store.
It's a real record store.
It's a real record store called Academy Records.
That's what I thought.
It's in Greenpoint, but we changed it.
My neighborhood. Yeah.
We changed it completely to make it Red Hook Records. Yeah.
But for some reason, I like halfway through the movie, I was like, I think that is Academy.
It is.
Started to kind of.
I always knew I wanted to shoot at Academy because it's one of the biggest record stores, and so much of the movie takes place at the record store. You want that depth, and I was like, yeah, there's gonna be 40 people in here all day, every day, so let's not. You go to your. I mean, I miss other music. Which
you know what it was? You
corner.
didn't move the new arrivals bin. That's how I knew.
That's how you knew.
Academy.
Yeah, we kept that the same. We kept that the same. No, I mean, my production designer Aaron McGill did an amazing job transforming that space, but the bones were there from Academy, and this obviously having those high ceilings and everything made it a really cinematic space.
Well, guys, I love the film. Congratulations! It opens in theaters this weekend, right?
It opens today.
Today, yeah.
It's in theaters in New York and LA today.
And there's a cool. It opens wider next weekend.
Father's Day weekend. It'll be going wide.
If you go to heartsbeatloudmovie.com, it's just by going there. The computer is amazing, you guys. You just go to that website, and it somehow knows where you are and tells you where it's playing and when near you.
And you can buy tickets or know that it's coming to you soon. And obviously, if you're in New York and in LA, we're going to be at the Regal Union Square and Landmark West 57th in New York, and we're at the ArcLight Hollywood and the Landmark in LA. And we're doing some cool Q&As tonight. Yeah. We've got some awesome moderators. Sasha and Nick are doing Q&As tomorrow in LA. So people should come out, get tickets. You can pre-buy. You can get the album. There's a lot going on, and we're excited. And then take your dad on Father's Day. Yeah.
Or your child.
Or your child, yeah.
It's PG-13.
It's a family film. It's fun for everybody. And we're hoping that it will put a little bit of love and light into your hearts, make you feel a little bit better, remind you of people that you care about in your life. And I always say to people, go with someone you love. Go with someone you love, and it'll be a great experience. And I just wanted to say one more thing about my Wendell. It's because Wendell Pierce is going to be on the show later, and I'm a huge fan. And he was on my mind.
There it is.
That's why. I made up that word, but now we know why.
Yeah, this this movie owes a lot to The Wire.
Yeah.
I mean,
Interlocking stories.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
That from that cautionary tale, this medicinal dose of love is born. Put that on the goddamn poster.
Hearts Beat Loud opens this Friday. Everybody, please give them a round of applause.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.